Welcome to the Morning Blitz with John Abraham, Captain Cool, and the Bandiman Bailey Lowery. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Captain Cool.
Hello and welcome in, everybody, to a tipsy Tuesday here in No Man's Land. Welcome to the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman Bailey Lowery.
How's it going, Captain Cool?
It's going all right. It's a Tuesday. I feel like this week is just kind of it's setting up to be a little bit longer than usual, Bandy. And I think a big reason to that is obviously we got high school football coming up right around the corner, and then on top of that, your boy is also hopping into some side hustles.
Into some side hustles?
I'm hopping into. I'm working for Trash Pandas again.
Oh, nice.
I'm back working for them, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I get to do a little bit more promotions, get to do the best I can, and it's going to be pretty insane. I'm going to be out there tonight, throughout through Thursday, and then on Friday we got to hop right back into some high school football because
it's week one, baby.
Yeah, it is week one. Well, in some places it's week two. It's weird to think about because a lot of places actually started earlier, but thankfully we haven't had to because kind of we've been focused on everything else that's been going on, whether it's in the college world or on obviously the preseason world, which we got plenty to talk about when it comes to the college football side of things today. But I'm just really excited for this because the only color commentary I've ever done, Bandy, was with you whenever we did Buckhorn basketball, which is a spectacular time, okay? I got to go out to Sparkman yesterday. I got to check out their awesome facility, look at their field, and it was very nice. I walked the field a little bit. Yeah, I walked on the field.
Very nice.
It was very nice. I wish back when I played football we had the turf that they have on their stadium, but it was super cool. And then I had to stop by one of my old childhood houses that is an absolute wreck at the moment. It needs some tender love and care, I would say, but very nostalgic to see, but just seeing Sparkman as a whole. I mean, my brother used to go there. I have memories of just stopping there while he goes in and he grabs me, what were those, they were the chocolate chips covered in like, it was like an M&M, but it was like a chocolate chip. I forgot the exact name for them, but
I know what you're talking about, but yeah, I'm blanking on the name with you.
Like Hershey's somethings, but they were in a silver bag back in the day. I don't know if they even exist anymore, but either way, we got a lot to talk about today, so make sure you guys find us online and on Twitter at 97.7 ESPN and on Facebook and 97.7 ESPN The Zone, and while you're at it, go and follow us on Twitch and YouTube at WZZN TV for more than just sports talk. You can see me, you can see the Bandiman, you can see the chat every once in a while. You can see that sick banner right behind the Bandiman. Roll Tide, everybody. But we will be talking a little bit less about the Crimson Tide today and kind of go over to the swamps over in Florida, talk about the situation they got going on with Graham Mertz being the starting quarterback, just being announced as well, the quarterback from Wisconsin that, honestly, I got to say, pretty clever guy. He's never had the offensive line to really show his full abilities, though, and now I think moving it to a kind of I'd say a totally reconstructed offensive line that Florida has. I think that they're big enough bodies to the point where Graham Mertz will be sitting comfortably in that pocket when he's throwing touchdowns for the Florida Gators. But we will be talking with Kevin Brockway from Gainesville Sun at 9:30, so we will have all the information on what the Florida Gators need to do to get back up to competitive nature over in the SEC. Another thing I also wanted to look at later on in the show, or maybe just in a little bit, we looked at kind of what's going on in the West of the SEC, and Alabama, obviously, in my opinion, I'm going to say my hot take, they're going to go on to the SEC championship. Maybe a little bit of bias behind that, but then you also look over, my other hot take was about LSU and how they would win, or they would lose at least 3 games this season. But when you look at the rest of the West Division, you look at these teams and you think, out of which team has the best chance? If it's not Alabama, it's got to be LSU. And it all comes down to which teams they're playing this season compared to last. Because, I mean, you look at LSU's schedule, and 2 of the hardest opponents that they would be going up against aren't even on that. And then on top of that, obviously, Alabama will be a team they will have to face. And they did They did get the upper hand last season, but this season it might be a little bit different. But if you guys want to hop on the conversations, 256-576-4977 is the number to call in. You guys can talk about what we're talking about, or you can create your own conversation. And on top of that, also give us your hot take to be entered into the Flow Friday challenge, I guess, to where you can get a party of 10 at Flow Supreme Air, and it'll be just totally amazing for you guys. That place is just wonderful. So much fun for, even adults and the kids just to have over at Flow Supreme Air. And this show is presented by Fleming Roofing and Restoration, the guys that you need to talk to about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you look them up online and fill out your free quote today. And remember that Fleming always shows up. You can find them at FlemingHSV.com to fill out that free quote. And again, Fleming, they just know what to do. They know when to show up. They know that as soon as you call, you need a new roof on top of your head. Whether it's small repairs or a complete roof reconstruction, Fleming knows exactly what to do to get it done. Now, Bandy, on top of all the college stuff that we got going down, we also have some interesting stuff coming out of the NFL. I will say, people don't want to hear about preseason. That's totally fine. I love the preseason. I watch all the highlights for that. That's totally fine that people don't want to hear about what I have seen, okay? But I think what happened last night is a little bit more important than anything else because, and again, people aren't going to be like looking at this like, oh, well, the Ravens had this winning streak, but it was in the preseason. It doesn't matter. Guys, this winning streak went all the way back to 2015. They lost to the Falcons back in 2015. They haven't lost since. They just went up against the Washington Commanders. Sam Howell did a very nice job showing that he could maybe be a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's not the savior for the Washington Commanders, I'll say that much. That they're on the right path at least. But this team was able to get the dub and snap the Ravens' 24-game win streak in the preseason. And I gotta say, that deserves a clap because first off, I hate the Ravens. Second off, that's pretty good for the Washington Commanders. I mean, it's got to be the Washington Commanders.
You're not a fan of the Ravens?
No, I'm not a fan of the Ravens.
Why are you not a fan of the Ravens?
Why do you think? Because they're the Cleveland Browns in disguise, Bandy. I know. It's a history that you don't even want to get into. It's so much drama around the Browns and the Ravens.
I get it. It's a Cleveland Browns thing.
It's a Cleveland Browns thing. It's an AFC North type of thing. If you're a fan of one team, you have to hate the others, and the Ravens are definitely atop that list at the teams that I hate in the NFL. Also going on in college football, Michigan head coach gives himself, he just totally just says, hey, I'm going to be out for 3 games. Yes. That's exactly what's going down. Jim Harbaugh, he's self-imposing a suspension due to a little bit of, I'd say, just something done wrong during the COVID-19 era. He was calling players, calling recruits over Zoom, talking with them. He was paying for the recruits' meals, and he was permitting people to go out of the field and perform coach activities. There's just a lot of stuff that was going on. A lot of people kind of overlooked it. They didn't really care too much. But they knew over at Michigan that the NCAA would be saying something about this and probably slapping him with a little bit of either a fine or a suspension. So Jim Harbaugh said, hey, how about I do it myself? I say, I'm going to be out for the first 3 games. It's going to be very disastrous for my team because we're going up against East Carolina, UNLV, and Bowling Green. So it's not going to be a really big deal for Michigan. Michigan's definitely got it handled. They don't even need a head coach in the first place to win those 3 games.
Yeah, no. I mean, originally it was 4.
Originally it was 4?
And even then it wasn't. Like, a 4-game suspension wouldn't have hurt either.
I mean, you look at their 4th game, it's against Rutgers. Although it opens up Big Ten play, at the same time, it's Rutgers. Okay? All right, this team has been struggling to find success for a while now. And even the game after that's against Nebraska, and then the game after that's Minnesota, which is honestly their hardest competition of the season so far, come week 6. And you got to look at the Big 12 or the Big 10, and you're just thinking, well, maybe the Big 10's actually not that good. Maybe it's just full of a lot of teams that might have a lot of big reps behind them. But a lot of these teams have not been good for a while now. And I could say Rutgers is one of those teams. Nebraska's one of those teams. Minnesota's fine. They've been just kind of, being existing.
I mean, about to say, where has that conference been recently besides Ohio State and Michigan?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, you also have Penn State, Michigan State. But Michigan State hasn't. I mean, neither of these teams have really been wow.
And it's like Penn State will make make a top 10 ranking, but they haven't been in the playoff.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a tough thing to make it to the top 4. Okay, that's that 4 playoff thing that is just like, oh, if you make it to that, you're an amazing team, you're better than everybody else. When they move it to the 12, Penn State will be in it almost every single year, but they'll be around the back area of it, the back half, and they're not even going to be in it because they won the Big Ten. They're going to be in it just because, hey, notable nod. Let's just put them in. We want the most competitive teams playing up against each other. But then even after you go up against Indiana, you go up against Michigan State, you go up against Purdue, which the highest AP poll ranking they've ever had is 25th, which, okay, that's kind of crazy. Penn State, that's when their competition's really starting to heat up, guys. Then they play Maryland, and then they go on and play Ohio State to finish off the game. Finish off the season. So you're just thinking, well, maybe, just maybe, they don't even need a head coach in the first place because they're going to be able to sweep a lot of these teams just like they did last season to make it all the way up into the top 4 to then go up against a team that is slightly more competitive in TCU of all teams, and then they drop an egg there. They just totally just lose it. They don't know who they are as a team, and it just does not look good. They're not good on the ground. They're not passing it well. They try and get the upper hand, and it just doesn't work. TCU, surprisingly, I look back on it, I don't know how TCU got it done, but they were able to beat the Michigan Wolverines, and I think it does equate back to, well, the schedule that Michigan does have to play through. I mean, you could look over at TCU, and they're playing harder opponents despite having, less talent on that team. But just kind of one thing to look at. But Jim Harbaugh, he will be out for 3 games at this upcoming season, so look forward to that. And then just stopping by over at the NFL one more time. Just one more time, Bandy.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of fun, though, that it went from an NCAA ban, like they agreed on a 4-game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, nah, we're revoking that.
Yeah.
Like, we don't agree on it.
Yeah.
It's all good.
There's going to be something that goes on in the future where it kind of comes back and bites him in the butt, but I don't think it's going to be as intense because he put himself into his own, suspension.
Yeah, but because it's like, hey, we don't agree with the suspension. You're not going to get one.
No.
So Michigan had to do it themselves.
Exactly, yeah. Michigan was just like, okay, you know what? Why don't we just look a little bit better? How about we just, we don't need this guy for these first 3 games.
How does 3 games sound? Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to go 3-0, and then they're going to go on and probably win a majority of their games, maybe lose one. Maybe literally lose 1 game. This team could very well go undefeated, okay? It's that Penn State and the Ohio States that really give these guys the most trouble. And on top of that, I mean, if it's not those teams, Michigan does find themselves in some problems with those smaller ranked teams like the Minnesotas and like the Indiana. So it's just like, how consistent can this team truly be? And I think they will be pretty consistent this season, especially with the absolutely stacked roster they've got over at the Michigan Wolverines. But now, looking over, the one thing I'm going to be kind of focusing on today is going to be the Florida Gators. And I know they're over in the East Division, and I'm not going to be talking about them too much when I talk about the West Division and who else could be number 1. But I do want to figure out what's going on because I did watch some film on Graham Mertz. This guy does look really good. Mm-hmm. He just needs an offensive line. He needs a running back. He needs wide receivers that are smart enough to get open to really show off his 100% ability at the quarterback position. Because he's a talented kid. He's got the mind of Einstein, but the thing is, some of those reads and those bigger games are the ones that are going to cause him trouble. And I can tell you this much, Florida's going to have plenty of big games, and it starts off against Utah in only a few days. So it's going to be absolutely insane to see that all go down. And we're going to be talking again with one Mr. Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun to figure out what the Florida Gators need to do to find success in 2023. So that's what we're going to be hopping into when we come back here on the Morning Blitz here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Southern Fidelity Mortgage. Think of them as a loan for everyone, offering more products than anyone else and the guaranteed lowest rates and costs in town. Of the 2,000 loans that Southern Fidelity Mortgage has pre-approved over the last 10 years, all but 1 have closed. That's unprecedented in the banking business. For FHA, VA, rural development, and conventional mortgages, for the best mortgage experience in town, it's Southern Fidelity Mortgage.
Call Southern Fidelity Mortgage Company at 256-656-5936. I'm attorney Gary Lackey. If you've been injured and need a lawyer right now, do you know who you really get?
I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. You want to talk to your lawyer. My clients talk to me.
And me. I'm attorney Justin Lackey. We're the ones that you talk to.
And we're the ones who handle your personal injury case.
And we'll take care of it.
The Lackey Law Firm. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
You're starting to see more and more of them on the road in Huntsville, Madison, and North Alabama. And we've got them in stock, on the ground, ready for you to test drive. Hi, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and I'm talking about the all-electric Mustang Mach-E. Come experience the torque, exhilaration, and technology of our all-electric 2023 Mach-E, and you'll see why folks are leasing and buying them as fast as we can get them. And that's not to mention you may qualify for a $7,500 tax credit. Woody Anderson Ford is offering financing as low as 2.9% for 60 months, plus $3,000 in bonus cash on the 2023 Mustang Mach-E. Or you can lease one for $449 a month. And we've also got 23 Bronco Sports for $399 a month. These are 36-month leases with $5,271 on Mach-E, $3,709 on Bronco Sport due at signing. Zero security deposit, just tax tag title, and your good credit. These offers end September 4th. Call 539-9441 for complete details. Come on in today. Woody Anderson Ford, hope to see you soon.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Philip Love of not only Eagle Insulation, now he represents Eagle Companies. Eagle through the years have added several companies to help individuals or builders through their construction renovation process. Eagle is known to represent quality, efficiency, and professionalism. Philip, I know you do insulation, but do you do masonry?
We do.
Do you do grading, erosion control, and dirt hauled off?
We do.
Do you do afterpaint, which includes shower doors, mirrors, shelving blinds, and bath hardware?
Yes, we do, Wes.
Do you do landscaping and irrigation?
Yes, we do.
So basically, Eagle can help you all along your process of building your house or doing renovations. So do you do plumbing?
We do not, Wes, but we can find somebody to do it.
Just give them time. They'll be there. Anyway, call Eagle Insulation at
256-755-1556.
Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Call Eagle today.
Thanks, Wes.
Tom Abraham here for my friend Brian Hamaker and his team at North Alabama Mortgage. Look, buying a home is the biggest purchase you will make in your life, and it can be a bit intimidating, so you want people that can help walk you through the mortgage process and get you the best deal possible. That's what North Alabama Mortgage does, and they do it in Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, from first-time purchases to refis, conventional, VA, FHA, and USDA loans. They have the solution at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly to partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 90s. Heat indices anywhere between 103 and 105 degrees. Temperatures drop into the mid and upper 70s as we head into the overnight early into your Wednesday morning. We're going to stick with the extreme heat across the Tennessee Valley. Something you would almost expect for mid to late August. A partly sunny sky on Wednesday. Not a drop of rain in the forecast. Highs in the upper 90s, lower triple digits. Heat indices anywhere between 105 and 107 degrees. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
There's the phone and no one to answer.
256-576-4977.
And as a result, we got many phone calls and letters.
Give us a call on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline today. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, into the Morning Blitz. Johnny Rand, Cap Cool, alongside the Bandiman, Bailey Lowery.
How's it going?
It's going good, especially because we got high school football this week, and it will be on the Zone. Bandy, the HSSN, is finally going off to a great start, and it's going to have a good slate this upcoming week. With Friday coming up, okay, it's the weekend technically. We get to start it a little bit earlier this time, okay, because we got Buckhorn
just a little bit
going up against Madison County. That's going to be on the Zone. We got Randolph going up against West Morgan. That'll be on Zone 3. On Zone 2, it's going to be Madison Madison Academy versus Deschler. Should be a really good matchup right there. And then on Zone 4, it's going to be Sparkman versus Hazel Green. I will be color commentary with Joe Abraham on that one.
Nice, and you'll be a lot of fun. You'll be hearing me and one Mr. Drew D. Armand over on Zone 3 for Randolph West Morgan.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. I mean, I know I never went to Sparkman, but I feel like I'm going back and, like with Joe, I mean, he used to go to Sparkman. He played football at this team. I feel like we're going to get a lot of people who are kind of homegrown in a way to these areas. Obviously, with you going to Randolph and, covering this game and me doing the Sparkman game right down the road from where I used to live when I was 5 years old. Can you believe that stuff? I'm telling you, I had to go back to that house, Bandy, okay? Because that's like where my first memories actually started. Around the age of 5, that's where they started. I was starting to lose teeth. I remember everything from that house. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into that pavement, the pea gravel on the road and the driveway there.
No, that'll be fun. No, it's gonna be fun because I think when I went to Randolph, like the football program was really just getting started, and now like several years removed, just seeing how much the program has grown since then. Like it's gonna be fun to go back.
Yeah, it's definitely turned into more of an elite football program over there, and it's just gonna be nice to see. Same with Sparkman. Honestly, they haven't been able to find their footing. But I feel like with the addition of their new players as well as just their stacked senior lineup, it's going to be great. I mean, I got to see some of those banners. There was one of them. One of the guys was holding pancakes and he was pouring syrup on it. I was like, this guy
knows what's up.
He knows what's up. I like that. Okay, I think Sparkman's got the winning ways behind him. But we are going to be talking a little bit of Florida football this segment. Not the exact way you guys thought I would be, but I will be talking a little bit about Anthony Richardson as well as just the Colts situation as a whole. Because Bandy, we talk about Anthony Richardson already, and we see this quarterback that's inexperienced. He's coming out of college. He's only played 12 games completely.
He just got named a starter.
And he's named the starter for this Colts team, and I can understand. You want to take out some of your starting guys, especially the veteran quarterbacks that have been through the NFL experience plenty of times. Like, we're not going to see that many Aaron Rodgers during the preseason in 2023. We're not going to see that type of stuff.
No.
Okay? But Anthony Richardson being held out of Game 2 of the preseason? Is this a smart move by Shade Steichen and Jim Irsay right now?
Well, I'd say if you're naming him the starter, I would say so. I mean, the Panthers are doing the same thing with Bryce.
Well, that's fine. Bryce Young, he has a little bit more in the bag, okay? He's more of an experienced quarterback. You look over at Anthony Richardson. A little bit. Again, we talked about this kid. He played 2 years. He played 2 years at Florida. Yeah. He leaves as a sophomore. He comes over. And what does he have in his bag? He's got 12 games. He's completed 176 passes on 327 attempts. And he's got 9 interceptions on 17 touchdowns. Those are his stats all together in college football. Now he's coming over and playing for a Colts team, and he's already got the start, and he doesn't have to play during the preseason. I'm just saying they're setting him up for disaster in his first year in the NFL.
I'm saying it might be a little bit of an overreaction. Because what we got, when you go from the college to the NFL, it's a fresh slate. Like, it does not matter if you won the Heisman, if you won the national championship, what awards you won in college. Mm-hmm. Once you get to the pros, all bets are off. Like, it's a brand new start. You are now a rookie. You are a new boy.
No,
you are a pledge.
We've seen the best of the best in college football go down to be some of the most the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, you could look at one.
Ryan Leaf.
Josh Rosen.
Manziel.
Drew Brees. I'm just
who did you say?
I was gonna say Drew. What's his freaking last name?
Drew Lock.
Drew Lock. There you go, Drew Lock. It was a lock right there. I almost said Drew Brock, but that's just totally different.
You see what I'm saying? So like them pulling the same moves as like Carolina is with Bryce, and I mean he's now their starter. They're gonna make sure he doesn't get injured, and they're probably prepping him in the back.
He's still playing in the preseason though.
Well, I mean, not in this game. It was Sam Ellinger and Gardner.
In week 2, though, he was still in for the first series of this for this team. And you look over and you got to see what this Colts team is doing. They're going straight off to their second strings. They're not dealing with any of their guys. They're not wanting any possibility that their star quarterback rookie, Anthony Richardson, is going to go on and be something great. They're not taking any chances with him.
I'm saying I'll take it with a grain of salt until we hit week 1. But they got a bigger issue to worry about with what's going on in and I cannot form sentences today.
It's a Tuesday, baby.
Yeah, it is a Tuesday. But with what is going on in their running back position?
Yeah, the running back position right now, it's been just a shaky story all preseason going into. First off, you look at Jonathan Taylor. He wants the contract he thinks he deserves. He didn't have the productivity last season that he did the season before that. But, I mean, overall, this guy's got 3 seasons in the bag, 3,800 yards rushing. I mean, he is an elite talent. They're not paying him. Now we got to look over at what they're going to do with him. They weren't going to trade him. They're just going to say, hey, his back is hurt. Let's put him on the PUP list. Okay, let's just put him over there. He'll be fine. We're not going to trade him. There's no way. Then Jim Irsay wakes up one morning. We're going to have to trade this guy. He's not going to play for our team, and we're going to end up losing money in this whole turnaround that's going on. So now we look over what teams could possibly pick this guy up. Bandy, you had some crazy thought in your mind for this team to just become the most memed team across the NFL.
I mean, it's true. The Giants really could do the funniest thing in the world and just trade Saquon for Jonathan Taylor.
They're like, yeah, we'll pay you, and then we'll trade you. And we'll get a guy better than you. I do think Jonathan Taylor is a better running back. I do think, okay?
They could.
But I don't think the Giants are that in need of a running back to where they will get to Jonathan Taylor, possibly have to pay him more than they already pay Saquon Barkley, because you know Saquon Barkley's getting pretty much the bare minimum of a franchise tag, let alone a normal contract. We just call it a franchise tag with a few extra incentives, to be honest. But Jonathan Taylor, on the other hand, there's few teams that could pick him up. And in this very weird running back market we have in 2023, you really have to say there's 4 teams that could pick him up, but there's only 1 team that actually might pick him up, okay? Few of those teams go into being the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Ooh.
They definitely need somebody back there. They just don't have the depth at running back position. Both of their running backs that they got right now, Rashad White as well as Chase Edmonds, just don't have the explosive power that other running backs do, especially not their former running back, Leonard Fournette. Then you go on the Miami Dolphins, one team that really just kind of stood out above them all. They've been trying to find a running back. Dalvin Cook wasn't the answer.
That is true.
You look over at what they have at the running back position, and you think, well, it's not that bad. They got Mostert. They got Jeff Wilson. Both of these guys just they're getting up in age. They can play a game of football, all right, but it's getting to the point where the Dolphins do need to consider, hey, we need a fresh young running back on this roster, because right now Raheem Mostert, at what is he, 31 years old? He's going to be 31 years old. He's getting aged. This is past the point that running back should be. But good on Raheem Mostert, though, for staying in the NFL as long as he did, I will say. The Dallas Cowboys are next on this list. They do have Tony Pollard, but honestly, you need a little bit more than one running back. And we saw that last year. Ezekiel Elliott scoring a majority of the touchdowns and Tony Pollard doing a lot of the work in midfield. They need somebody. And let me tell you, Jonathan Taylor would be that somebody. And I think easily he could take that starting position from a Tony Pollard, even though he's just now becoming, that guy in Dallas. I still think that there's a possibility that things could go a little bit backwards. And then speaking of the devil, team that you were talking about just a second ago, the Carolina Panthers.
That is true. They do need a running back.
I don't even know what they have at the running back position at the moment, okay? But Christian McCaffrey's definitely not a Panther anymore, and Bryce Young's going to need as much help as he can get.
Imagine if Bryce had, again, same draft picks, everything. He had Christian McCaffrey in the back.
It'd be a dangerous-looking team.
That would be looking like an NFC South winner.
Right now, it's just looking like, instead of the Carolina Panthers, it's the Carolina Youngs, okay? Because that's all that we're really seeing from this offense, on top of, obviously, the decent wide receivers they have over there in Carolina. But I don't know. Bryce Young, as well as some of the other, I was about to say freshmen, rookies, but just rookies in the NFL, they're definitely being set up for something, and I don't think it's going to be success in their first years, looking at the C.J. Strouds, looking at the Anthony Richardsons, and, of course, Bryce Young himself. Either way, where could Jonathan Taylor end up? That's going to be a question. Are the Colts doing anything right just over there? I don't know. Jim Irsay seems like he's getting a little senile. Either way, we got to hop into a great conversation, talking a little bit of Florida with Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun. When we come back here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Check out VSiN's catalog of original podcasts, daily and weekly programming to keep you in the know when you're on the go. only at VSIN.com. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
The college football season gets underway in less than a week. Coming up this Saturday, number 13 Notre Dame battles Navy, while number 6 USC hosts San Jose State. Then on Thursday, August 31st, it'll be number 14 Utah hosting Florida. From there, September the 2nd, pretty much everyone else gets underway. Other games on the 26th, UTEP battles Jacksonville State, UMass at New Mexico State, San Diego State hosts Ohio, Vanderbilt at home against Hawaii, Florida International at Louisiana Tech. Defending champion Georgia the favorite to win the national championship at plus 230, Alabama plus 650.
With us today, Dr. Tracy Lowery of Best Vein Care of Huntsville.
When we evaluate a patient and they indeed have significant venous disease, most third-party payers, private insurance, Medicare, require us to treat every patient conservatively at least 90 days. Conservative treatment includes increasing ambulation, elevation of the legs, and the wearing of compression stockings. It's very common for folks to come see us in March or April wanting to have their veins fixed before they go into swimsuits starting in June. When we see someone in March or April, they're going to require at least 90 days of conservative treatment before we can even go to the insurance carrier to get permission to treat their veins. So if you think you have a venous problem, now is the time to come in and get a free screening so we can determine whether or not you need something evaluated. If you have a vein problem or you think you may have a vein problem, now's the time to contact us at bestveincarehuntsville.com.
You want the right specialist for your recovery. At SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, we understand every body is different. Your muscles and bones are unique, as is your body. Our SportsMed specialists offer innovative treatments and minimally invasive procedures, allowing you to quickly return to the life you love. Locations in Huntsville, Madison, Athens, and Decatur, and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. Improving performance, improving lives.
Do you want your next party to be something you'll remember? Then head on down to Flow Supremaire to book your next big bash. Birthday? Corporate meeting? Maybe just a family reunion so you can get your cousin Kyle back into the basketball court so you can beat him at basketball. I don't have no idea. Flow is fun for all ages looking for high-flying excitement, arcade fun, and tasty snacks to satisfy your hunger. Whether you have 10 friends or 25, Flow is jam-packed with something fun for everyone. Get jumping with Flow off South Parkway in Drake or head over to flowhuntsville.com to book your next party now.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly to partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 90s. Heat indices anywhere between 103 and 105 degrees. Temperatures drop into the mid and upper 70s as we head into the overnight early into your Wednesday morning. We're going to stick with the extreme heat across the Tennessee Valley. Something you would almost expect for mid to late August. A partly sunny sky on Wednesday. Not a drop of rain in the forecast. Highs in the upper 90s, lower triple digits. Heat indices anywhere between 105 and 107 degrees. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
See, there's a reason that we're in Facebook jail right now, all right? We have so many amazing sounders to start off the segments, that you just want to let them ride for a little bit. Welcome back, everybody. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman, Bailey Lowery, here on the Morning Blitz. And so far, it's been very fun. It's been full of a lot of Florida talk, whether it's in the NFL or in the college football side of things. We also talked a little bit about Michigan and what's going on with their head coach situation, obviously being suspended for 3 games. Self-imposed. Nobody's doing it to him except for himself. But he thought it'd probably be the right thing to do, and maybe it'll, make the NCAA look at him a little bit better moving forward. That's Jim Harbaugh we're talking about right there. But we got to talk a little bit about these Florida Gators, all right? Because you look over at what's going on in the SEC, and it's almost everybody's game this year in 2023. It's just going to be absolutely amazing to see what goes down, especially with all these new quarterbacks either coming in from the transfer portal or just coming up as young fellas that are deciding to finally get their position, looking over at the Georgia Bulldogs with obviously what they got going on over there. But we're going to focus on Florida real quick because we gotta talk with one guy that does a wonderful job covering everything Florida Gators, and that is one Mr. Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun. Kevin, how are you doing today?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, it's getting near that time. Florida opens on a Thursday night, so I guess 11 days away.
Oh yeah, and it's crazy to think that we're going to have some college football in the span. First off, in this week. Next off, SEC football is getting started just right after. And the one thing I want to look at, a lot of questions going into this Florida team, obviously, for the 2023 season. Obviously, it's going to be Billy Napier's second time with this team, and usually we see a little bit more of growth throughout these rosters in the second year with a head coach. And I kind of want to look over at what he's been doing to kind of form this team into what it needs to be in prior to the game against the Utah come September 2nd.
Yeah, well, they've got in the neighborhood of 30 to 35 new faces, 23 freshmen and another 11 from the transfer portal, including the starting quarterback, Graham Mertz. So this is more his team, I think. This is more the players that he connects with, that he feels like can fit his scheme and fit his system. So I think there's a little optimism in fall camp now. A couple of injuries that were pretty tough. Justice Boone, defensive end. Cam Carroll, the transfer running back from Tulane, who they were really counting on as a third down back. Both went down with torn ACLs. That put a little bit of a damper on things. But for the most part, I think they're excited about particularly some of their younger players and hopeful that they'll make some progress this season.
Yeah, and one thing I kind of wanted to look at with this Florida Gators team is almost the totally reworked offensive line that's coming in. And I know there's a lot of size with these guys, but is it tough to say, or is it safe to say that Florida is going to find success if their offensive line holds up for Graham Mertz to be able to use his quick acting ability?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's certainly one of the keys. And last year, even though it was a 6-7 season, the offensive line was probably the strongest unit on the team. They had an All-American in Osiris Torrance, who went second round to the Buffalo Bills. Was really kind of a generational talent on the offensive line, and you saw without him, they gave up 4 sacks in the Las Vegas Bowl when he declared for the NFL draft. Mm-hmm. So I think that's an area of concern. But Austin Barber is a left tackle who they really like, who's really emerging. Who was a freshman All-American last year as a redshirt freshman. And Damian George, a transfer from Alabama on the other side, has been really has really stepped into that right tackle role, and I think they expect big things. So Kingsley Agakin is another guy, a little banged up, the starting center, who's coming back for his third year. If he can't go for Utah, then they'll go to Jake Slaughter. And Micah Mazuka, the transfer from Baylor, had shoulder surgery in the spring, but he's back at left guard, and a guy that's a very good run blocker. So I think that they feel like it's going to be still a very solid offensive line, and it's something they put a lot of emphasis on, too. I mean, Rob Sale in title is the offensive coordinator, but Billy Napier calls the play. So Sale and Darnell Stapleton both really work on the offensive line. It's an area where they really try to develop, and they feel like they're a little deeper over there as well.
Yeah, and exactly. And on paper, I mean, you look at this offensive line, and several of these guys are over the 350 mark. Their height is around 6'5" or above. It's insane to see the size that is really on that line. But looking over at the new quarterback, Graham Mertz from Wisconsin, I mean, just kind of talk about what you like about him and what you think he'll be able to carry over from the success he saw over on Wisconsin to the Florida Gators.
Well, he's an accurate thrower. We've seen that in camp. He hits a lot of receivers in stride, particularly on the short and the intermediate routes. I think that's his strength. Mm-hmm. He's gonna be a guy that's gonna be able to move the chains a little bit. Now, I think the question is the deep ball. Like, is he gonna be able to? Anthony Richardson was obviously a guy that had that ability. With Graham, you wonder a little bit whether he's going to be able to kind of stretch the defense and throw deep. But I think on the short and intermediate throws, he's good. He's really ingratiated himself with his teammates. He studies. He's one of those guys, kind of first one in the building, last one out of the building. And I think he's got some leadership qualities to him. And I think he's going to be a guy that certainly is going to be able to. Like I said, be kind of like that game manager type, that guy that can sustain drives. He did get sacked a lot at Wisconsin. I think that he even talked about how the strength staff made him a little bit more athletic and elusive. But he's not going to bring back any memories of Richardson that way either. So again, it's going to be really important for the offensive line to protect.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of looked over at some of his film, and he doesn't have the ability, obviously, that Anthony Richardson had to kind of find those open lanes, but he does have the reliable aspect to where if he needs to, he can get out for a first down if everything else is lost with that offensive line. He can squeeze his way through and pick up a good amount of yards just to get that first down.
Yeah, and here's another thing, too. He was in Overland Park, Kansas at high school when he was rated as the one of the top, pocket passers as a recruit. Yeah. Alabama wanted him, a bunch of teams. He was operating out of the shotgun. He was operating in kind of a spread offense, which he'll be doing, here at Florida. Under Wisconsin, he was under center. Mm-hmm. So I think that will free him up, too, as well, and help him in terms of, operating within the offense. I think he's a guy that playing in the shotgun is going to help him.
Exactly. Kevin Brockway doing a wonderful job talking Florida Gators football with us. Now, kind of looking over to the side that he really needs to rely on himself, Graham Mertz, that is, the wide receiver room. How's this room looking? Do you feel confident in it? Is it something going to wow us, or is it just kind of something that'll get us along to the end of the season on a good little pace?
Well, I think Ricky Pearsall coming back certainly helps in that regard. I think he's the best they have. He's a guy that plays in the slot. He might play a little more outside this year too. Yeah. And a guy that's 6'2" and had 5 touchdowns last year. He's their most dependable guy. He's their most experienced guy. Caleb Douglas is another one now as a sophomore, is going to be able to step into a starting role. He's up to he had a really good spring and someone they're excited about. And then some young receivers, too. Andy Jean and Eugene Wilson, as true freshmen, have really, shown that advanced ability. And Eugene Wilson is a guy who maybe can line up in the slot a little bit. He's got some kind of quick twitch about him, can generate some yards after the catch. He might be a factor in the return game as well, as will Andy Jean. And I think those are 2 young guys as true freshmen that they're going to play a little bit. Aiden Mizell is another guy who is more probably of a deep threat, which might not be a fit for Mertz, but he's another guy with speed. So they've got 3 young receivers with very good speed, but there will be growing pains in the SEC with all 3 of them. But I think that they're guys that you're going to see during the course of the season improve and get better.
Kevin, I need to know, what's the ceiling for this team going into the 2023 season?
Well, I predicted 8 wins. I think 8 wins is possible. If things roll right, I think you have to, certainly beat the teams that, traditionally you have more talent than, teams like Kentucky and South Carolina, those kind of teams. But if you do that, I think there's a chance. They're not beating Georgia. They're not beating LSU this year, I don't think, unless there are injuries or some unforeseen things. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're beating FSU in the Swamp. I do think that they have a chance to upset Tennessee at the Swamp. They may win one of those 2 games.
Okay.
And I don't see them. I don't necessarily see them beating Utah in the altitude, but we'll see. That could be a toss-up depending on how Cam Rising comes back from his torn ACL. But I would probably count about 4 losses during the regular season, and if you can get to 8 wins, then you show a little bit of progress in Napier's second year.
Great stuff, Kevin. Let the people know where they can find you online and on socials.
Yeah, at Twitter, Facebook.com at Kevin Brockway G1, Gatorsports.com and Gainesville.com are the addresses.
Good stuff, Kevin. We look forward to talking with you later on during the season, and just look forward to the Utah matchup come September 2nd.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Great stuff, Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun. And I will say, as soon as he said the 7 or 8 wins for their ceiling, I started counting off the teams that they were going to beat, or they might beat, or they have a better chance of beating. And I got to say, if it's not one team, it's going to be another team that they're going to beat, okay? If it's not Utah that they can beat, then they're going to have a good possibility to beat an Arkansas team, to beat a Mizzou team, and even have a chance against South Carolina as well as Kentucky team. That obviously, those teams are on the up and up, but I mean, right now, so is Billy Napier's Florida Gators, especially with their new quarterback out of Wisconsin in Graham Mertz, which I looked at a lot of this guy's film, and I will say, He's talented. He's talented.
There's a lot of new talent coming to this Florida team, so it'll be interesting to see come week 1.
Yeah, and he's got to rely on the rest of his team. And I think that what Florida has getting built up over there in the swamp is definitely a reliable squad, to say the least. But we do need to hop into a break. If you guys do want to comment on all of what Kevin Brockway had to say about the Florida Gators, you can call us at 256-576-9777.
97.7.
That is the number to call in. But we got to hop into a break. When we come back, we're going to close out the show, close out this Tipsy Tuesday here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is "We show up." Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing. We have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
The best place to get 50s diner-style homemade delectables is Bubby's Diner. Located at 8412 Whitesburg Drive Southeast, try their all-new expanded breakfast menu with homemade waffles, omelets, and shrimp and grits. With 3 generations of experience, Chris Bubby Belcher has the best burgers in town. Don't forget to leave without a homemade pie or a hand-spun milkshake. Give Bubby's a call today at 256-513-8080. Bubby's Diner, home of the donut burger.
Work injuries happen in Alabama all the time, whether it's an accident at work, getting injured, lifting heavy objects, hurting your hands on a machine, or just performing the same movement over and over until your body breaks down. But when it happens, there's only one law firm to call in Alabama. That's Pond Lehocky Giordano. For personalized legal support, reach out to Pond Lehocky at 855-774-3838 or pondlehocky.com.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly saying Roll Tide and War Eagle. Stop into University Kia today and shop one of the area's largest selection of new Kias, including Fortes, Seltos, Telluride, and Popular Carnival, and fully electric EV6. View all the great specials at universitykia.com and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia you really want, because we want to see you in a University Kia.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly to partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 90s. Heat indices anywhere between 103 and 105 degrees. Temperatures drop into the mid and upper 70s as we head into the overnight early into your Wednesday morning. We're going to stick with the extreme heat across the Tennessee Valley. Something you would almost expect for mid to late August. A partly sunny sky on Wednesday. Not a drop of rain in the forecast. Highs in the upper 90s, lower triple digits. Heat indices anywhere between 105 and 107 degrees. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
New coordinators. That's as good as money, sir. New quarterback.
It's my quarterback.
Same coach.
And you all may be taking the week off, this week, but I'm not.
We are your home of the Alabama Crimson Tide. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
All right, you can take this one off. I don't want to hear this one. I've heard it way too many times.
You don't like this one?
Bandy, you ever heard of Bassmaster Radio? That's like every single time. The amount of times I had to edit videos for him or edit the audio clips, it was just, geez, nonstop. That one gives me PTSD slightly. But either way, welcome back, guys, to the Morning Blitz. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman, Bailey Lowery.
What you got in front of you?
I got a big old sheet from Full Moon Barbecue that shows us all of the SEC team schedules. And I got to say, I'm liking what I'm seeing. And if you guys didn't know, there is SEC football this week. It's Vanderbilt versus Hawaii. But, it's SEC football, baby.
It's SEC football.
Exactly. And you should see a pretty amazing performance by Vanderbilt against this Hawaii team. In their not finished football facility at that. But I do think their team is good enough to beat a Hawaii team, similar to how they did last season. I mean, that was an absolute mollywop. But Vanderbilt then goes up against Alabama A&M whenever everybody else gets started on September 2nd. So, guys, look forward to that, especially you guys locally. But I wanted to look at this. We just got done with a great conversation with Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun about how the Florida Gators are going to be ready for this season, especially with their new quarterback, Graham Mertz, from Wisconsin, getting the start. But I want to look over at the West, okay, because there's a few things that I've thrown down. By the way, 256-5764
97.7
is the number to call in if you guys want to give us your hot takes to get into the Flow Friday drawing. That is totally fine with me. And also if you want to comment on what one Mr. Kevin Brockway said about his Florida Gators. But I want to look over at the West right now because I've said this before. The hot take that I had was that LSU would lose 3 games, okay?
All right.
Whether it was against Florida State, whether if it's against Alabama, whether it's against Ole Miss or Texas A&M, I think there's going to be one little sly loss in there. I think for sure they're going to lose to FSU. I think that they're going to lose to Alabama. But on top of that, I mean, you look at the rest of this schedule, it's a tough West Division schedule. It always is, okay? But out of all of the other schools in the West Division, you look at one team that these guys do not play, and Alabama's similar with this. They don't play at Georgia. LSU does not play at Georgia as well. And I'm trying to think, if Alabama and LSU don't win the West, who is the next up to have the best opportunity at that?
My guess?
What's your guess?
Ole Miss.
You think Ole Miss?
Ole Miss, yeah.
I would agree with you. Bandy. But you look through their schedule. They have an easy first 3 games. Mercer, Tulane, Georgia Tech. Then they go up against Alabama. That's a tough one. Right after that, they go up against LSU. That's a bad one. Arkansas is not going to be easy either. And if they have a close game against LSU and still somehow find a win, they're going to go up against an Arkansas team who's ready to kind of just clean up where LSU kind of left their food, okay?
Yeah, look, it does suck because if you're not Alabama or LSU, you have to go up against Alabama and LSU.
Yeah,
or like one or the other or both.
Or you have to slide in Georgia right there, and that's the one thing Ole Miss has to do.
Poor Auburn.
Georgia is going to be going up against Ole Miss as well. So Ole Miss doesn't just have Alabama. They don't just have LSU. They don't just have an Auburn team. I'm just going to throw that in there because you just said that. They also have a Georgia game at Georgia.
Ew.
All right?
Yeah.
That's where it kind of gets a little bit fishy. For Arkansas, I look over at Arkansas. They don't play Georgia at all, okay? But they still have to go up against at LSU. Then they have to go to Texas A&M, or they play against Texas A&M. Then they have to go at Ole Miss as well as Alabama. Then they go to Mississippi State. Tough stretch, and then they come back from the bye. They go to the Swamp in Florida and finish out the season against Auburn, FIU, and Mizzou. It's just, there's not a lot to really just say, whoa, there's a third team in the West that's really just going to show out. Because even Texas A&M, they don't go up against the Georgia team, but they finish off their season going up against an LSU team. Obviously, they have the slate against Arkansas, Alabama, and Tennessee, and before all those games, they go against Auburn. But if anybody has a favorable schedule this season, it's going to be either Texas A&M or possibly a Mississippi State. But still, that West Division, whenever it comes down to teams outside of Alabama and LSU, it kind of gets a little shaky, unsure of which teams can actually beat which teams. Can Arkansas beat a Texas A&M? Can Ole Miss beat a Mississippi State? Those are things you look over at the Alabamas, you look over at the LSUs, and you think there's a pretty positive, I'm pretty positive that these teams will get those dubs. The only tough matchup is going to be looking at the Georgias, the team that LSU and Alabama don't have to play. Very favorable for two of the most hyped up teams going into the 2023 season. We got to figure this all out, guys. Season starts on September 2nd, officially August 26th, so it's right around the corner. But for me and the Bandiman, we're ending this show out with a bang. For me and the Bandiman, we'll catch you guys in 22 hours here on The Morning Blitz.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service